Hey guys, it's Joette with BalloonCoach.com, and today I am delighted to host the director of CRC. So you get to know what it is, how it helps the balloon industry, and for her to be able to answer some of those top questions for you. So I will be your voice. If you have questions as we go through the presentation, type them into the chat and I'll make sure that we get them answered. And I'm really excited about this. Many people used to know about the Balloon Council in the balloon industry, and that is no longer around. And now we have the CRC to be a voice and to help us with education and with really important information. So without further ado, Maria, thank you for taking time out today to introduce yourself to us. Let us know who you are and what the CRC is all about.
Great. Thanks so much, Joette. So excited to be here today and really appreciate the opportunity. As you mentioned, I'm the executive director of the Coalition for Responsible Celebration. You might also hear it commonly referred to as the CRC. It's a nonprofit industry association that's dedicated to protecting balloons and other celebration products. And I am so excited to be here today to announce the launch of a new membership level within the organization designed specifically for balloon decorators. And we're planning on launching it next week at Float. But we wanted to give you a preview today.
Awesome.
So as you mentioned, many of you might be familiar with the Balloon Council or the TBC, which served as the industry group representing balloon manufacturers and distributors for many years. However, last year, we introduced the CRC to better reflect our commitment to promoting responsible practices across the entire celebration industry. And this expansion is really significant because it signifies a shift beyond balloons alone. We're now addressing a wide range of environmental and social considerations that impact celebrations. And this move towards a larger coalition framework really emphasizes collaboration within our industry. And by bringing together more stakeholders, it really enables us to collectively work towards more sustainable and responsible celebration practices, covering everything from product creation to disposal. Our commitment to sustainability, however, unwavers. Even as we transition from TBC to CRC, our focus on initiatives promoting eco-friendly materials, waste reduction, and education on responsible celebration practices has remained constant. This transition also reflects our responsiveness to changing needs and expectations regarding sustainability and industry trends. By repositioning ourselves as a coalition for responsible celebration, we're demonstrating collectively our dedication to promoting practices that benefit not only people, but also our planet. And as we take a look at the foundational work within the CRC, it really is comprised within 5 different areas of responsibility, 5 core pillars really that is foundational to our work. Collaboration and advocacy, we're big believers in teamwork. And by teaming up with organizations like state retail and grocer associations, we're right there with legislators, crafting laws that really make a difference. Sustainability and innovation, our commitment to sustainability keeps us thinking outside the box. We're teaming up with manufacturers to push things like balloon recycling efforts in their factories, and we're working with retailers to expand balloon recycling efforts in stores. When we come to education, we know that knowledge is power, and that's why we're partnering with large industry organizations like the Edison Electrical Institute, which you might have heard referred to before as EEI, which represents electric companies. We're giving them information to share with their customers on how to handle and dispose of balloons properly. So we're making sure that everyone's on the same page when it comes to taking care of our planet and using balloons responsibly. So this gives you an idea of the types of companies that are currently members within the CRC. Right now, we're 26 members strong and growing every day. You can see that it includes groups not only traditionally where TBC had presence within manufacturers and distributors, but also now moving larger, the circle larger, to include things like helium suppliers and retailers. And as I announced at the top of the call, we're really excited right now in that we are looking to also include decorators. So why does CRC exist? For years, certain groups have been socializing misinformation about balloons in the media, specifically the perception that balloons are a top contributor of litter, impacting wildlife and polluting the earth, when in reality, annual government data tells us that balloons make up less than 1% of all debris found during beach cleanups in the US since 2015. But in reality, when we take a look at what is actually happening, you'll see the top contributors to litter tend to be cigarette butts, food wrappers, plastic bottles. Those three categories alone are responsible for over 50% of the litter found. So it's this lack of education that's now created an environment where legislators have now started to take misdirected action by passing laws to ban the sale and use of balloons. So how has this played out? From 2019 to 2023, we've seen 29 pieces of balloon legislation passed. That's an average of 10 laws per year. And the laws range from banning the sales of all balloons to those balloons filled only with a gas lighter than air, which is how they typically refer to helium, to bans on use on government property. If you think about your local government or a local education center or government properties where events could be hosted, parks, for example, or public beaches, to bans on intentional releases, which I want to note in particular that we as an industry support as proper product use, because we all know that balloons should not be released into the air. And as you take a look at this map, you'll see that all 9 states that have passed legislation are next to large bodies of water, which is a theme that we're seeing. So as we take a look at the snapshot of the legislation that we're dealing with as of this year, you can see it's significantly increased. We're tracking over 40 pieces of balloon legislation, approximately 20 of which are urgent. And this is a 30% increase in what we've seen over prior years. Now you'll notice as you take a look at the map that the legislation is now moving inland to neighboring states to those near large bodies of water. And our state count now rises from 9 to 18, twice as many states. So that you're aware, our organization does daily monitoring of balloon legislation from the state to local city levels. And we're constantly addressing the prioritization with the tier coding system when alerted about balloon legislation. Tier 1 that you see right here means that it's a total and complete sales ban. And that means that we're doing immediate advocacy with lawmakers. Tier 2, which is yellow, is not a complete sales ban, but a partial ban. So it could be that it's banning all foil balloons or all balloons filled with helium, and often also having restrictions to distribution or use. And so that's another area where then we lean in immediately with advocacy. Tier 3, Tier 4, which is balloon release bans, is not as egregious, but our position has changed from the past. And now we want to be at the table with lawmakers so that they can see that we as an industry are very concerned about the environment. We want to see that the product is used properly. And so we want to be at the table with them being partners to bring education forward so that they understand that you can use balloons responsibly and it's not a threat to the environment if we all follow basic product practices. So here's the opportunity. Oh, go ahead, Joette.
We've got a couple of quick questions coming in as far as like the difference between what like a total ban is versus partial bans.
So a total ban would mean no balloons. We will not allow you to sell them. We will not allow you to use them. And so that is the highest form of engagement that we do, because that means all foil balloons, all latex balloons, whether or not they're filled with anything, are restricted. So
gotcha. Those are in certain cities, not necessarily the entire state of California. Is that correct?
Correct. California is a unique situation. Right now, we're showing the impact at the state level. But in reality, as we take a look at those 40 pieces of legislation, they're sitting in different localities. California probably has 12 pieces of legislation actively, And it has been designated by an environmental group, Surfrider, very publicly stating that their intent is to ban balloons. And so that tends to be a huge area of concern for us right now.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we started to take a look at this increasing amount of legislation, we wanted to find out if this is rooted in what consumers wanted. And so we hired a market research firm to understand how consumers really viewed balloons and what they thought about balloon bans. And we were very pleasantly informed that according to the nationwide online survey of 1,500 US consumer voters, we found out that not only did they hold positive views about balloons, but they indicate by an overwhelming majority that they plan to continue to buy balloons and don't support balloon bans. And what we've learned is that in most cases, consumers aren't even aware of the enacted or pending balloon bans when they become laws in their areas. That is until they head out to the store to pick up balloons for their next event. But we're very mindful that with continued negative press and social, with this misinformation, people's opinions might start to change. And that's really why we're here and why we're looking to really engage every part of the industry to help us protect our use of balloons. So as we take a look at this disconnect between legislators and consumers, what's our game plan? We're really focusing on three key areas: educating consumers and legislators, pushing retailers to go above and beyond with offering free rates with balloon sales, and driving innovation in product sustainability and recycling. You'll see on this slide, I've highlighted this balloon policy toolkit. This is something you can download at Coalition for Responsible Celebration.org. It's something that we share with legislators when we meet with them initially. And it really is packed with information on proper balloon use, the minimal impact that balloons have on wildlife and the environment, consumer education on responsible balloon use, not letting go, making sure the product is weighted, talking about the strides made on balloon recycling, which is now available at Party City stores, in all stores in Florida, Massachusetts, and California, and they're looking to roll it out nationwide later this year, and industry efforts to make and create more sustainable materials. So what can you do? Become a CRC ambassador. So this is a new level of membership that we created because we realize at the end of the day, we're only going to be as successful as our advocacy at the local level. And we know of no greater passionate ambassadors than the balloon decorators. And so this new membership level offers you the opportunity to join a larger community dedicated to sustainability practices. And as an ambassador, we really see you as being a vital connection between industry, so the consumer, the manufacturers and the distributors, and consumers, really helping model responsible celebration practices, which ultimately protects our environment. A CRC ambassador advocates for safe environmental practices, promotes responsible balloon usage and disposal, and raises awareness about sustainable celebrations. And the primary focus of ambassador membership is to unite members in fostering innovation, sustainability, and advocacy within our industry. And you'll see here on the right, we have designed a CRC Sustainability Ambassador seal for your marketing materials, so you can show your dedication to promoting sustainability in your practices, something we know balloon decorators have been asked about by their customers frequently in the last several years. So let's talk about memberships of the benefits of membership. You'll make a real impact by teaming up with other ambassadors to help shape a more sustainable future and push for positive change by backing responsible legislation. As we take a look at the amount of legislative activity that's happening, I know you mentioned, Joette, at the top of the call that we have decorators from Connecticut. And I would love to reach out to that person after the call today. Connecticut is a state that now, just within the last week, had announced an intent to do a complete ban on balloons that are not biodegradable. That is hugely concerning to the industry because we have yet to arrive on a definition of biodegradability that we can ensure that our products meet a standard. So we're working with Connecticut, the Senate state sponsor, to see how we might be able to meet his objective, which really is to keep balloons out of the bay. I also noticed, Joette, that you had mentioned someone is attending from Florida. Florida is an example where we partnered with the House representative who sponsored a piece of legislation to revisit the balloon release ban for the state of Florida to take off all limits. So now they're looking to state that there should be no intentional balloon release. And the CRC has been working with them to provide them educational material, being partners, saying we absolutely agree the product needs to be used responsibly, because in taking these types of steps, we prevent them from taking that next step, which is to ban the use or the sale. And then I also noticed you mentioned someone from Texas was on the call. Again, there was a new piece of legislation that was proposed for Padre Island for a balloon ban. So would love to be able to get in contact with you as well. And it's these types of advocacy efforts is where we see our relationship as being most beneficial, because we bring resources to be able to connect us with legislators to really, truly make a difference in the outcomes of the legislation. But we can only do that with local participation, because understandably, lawmakers only want to hear from people who they have a direct relationship with. So in pivoting back to the other memberships, we take a look about building your network. You'll have that direct contact with industry leaders through special channels just designed for ambassadors. Another benefit that we see is showcasing your work. You'll reach a wider audience by being able to promote your work through our CRC social channels, as well as listings on our website. You'll have access to industry resources, polling data like the data that you saw earlier with respect to consumers, messaging guides to help you answer some of the tougher sustainability questions you might be getting from customers, legislative updates. As you know, we see new legislation come through every day, and access to toolkits like the Balloon Toolkit for Policy Engagement Reference. And in the background, we do have groups of advocates, specialists in government affairs that we're working with to help fight against harmful balloon legislation that could negatively impact your business. And so with that, I wanted to let you know what you can do moving forward. CRC Ambassador membership will be available at a $250 annual membership. But to get things started, we are launching the program officially at Float, and we're offering that membership for only $100. Above and beyond that, we can always use your help. If you see something, say something. The biggest challenge in our monitoring efforts is at the local level. It's hard to monitor when people use different systems and aren't as sophisticated as larger state-run organizations. And things happen quickly. Sometimes someone will present a local balloon ban at a city council meeting, and within 3 days, it's passed as law. So part of our challenge is knowing about it and then doing outreach to see if people will join our cause in advocating. And if you do advocate, it's something that we work with you. We provide you with messaging direction and coaching if there's any hesitancy about getting up and speaking on behalf of your business. The other thing to mention is that a lot of what we've been talking about is passed as balloon bans exclusively. But what we've now noticed, particularly this year, is many of the single-use plastic legislations that are being discussed do include balloons. And you might not notice that unless you've gone through the 40-page documents that usually accompany this, that balloons are considered in some cases single-use plastics, which we've had success in removing. But part of the challenge is being able to know about it so that we can get involved right away. And then finally, having you socialize this. We aren't sure within your community how many people are really aware of the significant challenge we face with balloon legislation, and we really need everyone's participation to help protect our industry. And so with that, I'd love to open it up to any further questions. If you are at Float, do realize that we will have a booth. We won't be in the main space. We'll be in a hallway. But many of our CRC members, there's about 11 of them that are Float sponsors, will have signage in their booths with a QR code, which will make it easy for you to join. And you can also go, starting next week, out to the Coalition for Responsible Celebration.org site, where you can join directly there as well.
Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. It made it very clear and concise. A couple of questions that came on is we have several people who are outside of the United States. So clarification, does the CRC only do the United States? We have some people from Canada and then from other countries. So just trying to find out what those locations are, you know, is it CRC that they would contact, or is there someone else that they would need to get in contact with?
That's a great question. And right now, Joette, we do have members actually both from Canada and from Mexico. There is another large global organization called the European Balloon and Party Council. And so if we do have members that sit in Europe, we would advise that they join there, just because it is more relevant with it being directly located out of the UK. But if they outreached us, we're in very close communication with the EBPC and can redirect them. Otherwise, absolutely open to anyone who wants to join.
Wonderful. So I think that's got all of the main questions. So at this time, if you can just let people know again how to reach out to you if they have questions, if they've watched this, and then we'll open it up for other conversation.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joette. On the slide right now, you'll see my email address as well as my phone number. I welcome any type of outreach. And like I said, so much appreciate your efforts to be able to spread the word within the community so that we can really rally together and be successful in keeping balloons in the mix for celebrations. And also highly encourage you to send us any imagery that you have, if there's things that you would like to celebrate, or responsible practices that you do already. Like I said, we do have social channels, and we'd love to be able to bring forward some of the success stories that you've had.
Wonderful. So you're looking for photos of events, videos and things of that where it's being used responsibly and not being released, correct?
Exactly.
Wonderful. Guys, if you have other questions, just pause the recording on this slide so you know how to get a hold of Maria. And I look forward to having great conversations in the future about how we can all work together as a collective body to help get the word out and be creative with our messaging about the environment.
Great. Thanks so much, Joette. Really appreciate it.
Hey guys, and just a reminder, if you're wanting more information about CRC, go to their website, coalitionforresponsiblecelebration.org. And then when you click on the environment section, it gives you some great information and also has a toolkit here you can download that gives you some of the information that was presented in today's presentation. Look forward to seeing balloon decorators become ambassadors with the CRC so we have a voice to help protect our industry.